Okay, so this video is going to take a look at some projects to make using different types of metal, aluminum in particular. So the first one that we'll do is just grab a sheet of aluminum foil. That could be just aluminum foil that you buy at the supermarket. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And basically just crumble it up into a ball gently, and then open it up and just carefully flatten it out. And then you're going to wrap a piece of cardboard, just fold over each side and then the corners, just fold them in. And if you want to add glue on the edges here, you can certainly do that. And now you have a really interesting surface for a collage. You can see I have this example here. Basically what I've done is kind of distressed the surface of it a little bit. So once you have the crumpled surface, you can then apply tempera paint or acrylic paint and even wipe some of it off. You can see I've wiped areas of this off. And it creates an interesting pattern too. Since it's water-based, the tempera paint kind of pooled in these areas. So it just creates an interesting surface to work on. Then you can go ahead and add your collage elements to it, like I've added the washi tape and the tissue paper. Also take a look at the elements and principles of art and design and the compositional ideas where I'm filling the whole surface, for instance. My materials are going off the sides of the surface. So definitely take a look at the video on composition and the handout as well when you're thinking about how to lay out your materials. And I'm just using a small piece of cardboard for the video, but you could certainly use a bigger piece as well. Okay, and I'm following along on the written instructions that are on Canvas. So the next project that's listed there is embossing on aluminum, and I have a few examples here to show you. So this is an interesting way to create line drawings essentially in metal. And students in Art 119, you already have these aluminum sheets. They're larger sheets. They'll come, you should have 2 of them, and they're big sheets like this. Each student will get 2 of these. So you can use that. If you don't have these heavier aluminum sheets, you can just go ahead and use just regular aluminum foil as well. That will work. Again, check out the written instructions on Canvas. There is a link to Pinterest. If you go to step 1, there's a link to Pinterest where there's lots of ideas for what kind of design or line drawing that you're going to want to create. So these are just some examples. You could create a line drawing just with lots of different textures and shapes. You can create one that's just a much simpler kind of open, lots of open spaces. You can create ones that are more figurative with these kind of floral designs or mandala design. So you can use that link that's on Pinterest to find some design ideas. You can also use one of your drawings from earlier in the semester as well. So once you have a design figured out that you're happy with, then what you'll do is, and I'll show you here, here's an example of a drawing that I did, just simple like mandala with some kind of leaf designs. So choose your design that you want first. then again, just like before, if you're not in my processes and structures and you just have regular aluminum foil, again, go ahead and wrap it around another piece of cardboard, just like I showed you earlier. And then tape down on one side your drawing. So notice that my drawing and the cardboard are pretty much the same size, right? So you don't want a tiny piece of cardboard if you have a giant drawing that you're trying to transfer. And once you do that, then I just have one side taped down because I like to go back and forth and like see how it's working. Then you just start tracing over that design. And I'm pressing fairly hard with a pencil. Notice the pencil is not super sharp because you don't want it to be so sharp that you're going to tear the paper and then maybe tear the foil underneath. And each time you're working, just start to notice, you know, how is it looking? How is the foil looking? You might have to go back and just make some of those lines a little bit deeper. And you would just continue on doing that until the whole piece is transferred. Similarly, I did the same type of thing to create this version, which is on that heavier piece of aluminum for the processes and structure students. And likewise, I started off with a stack of cardboard. This is really nice because it gives a little bit of a cushion when you're transferring your design. So you want to have a stack of an old magazine, a piece of cardboard. Then you would, like you would with the regular foil, you would take your design and just tape it down. And I think I used, this is the original that I just photocopied it. It's the same thing. You can just tape it down, and then again you're starting to push down. I'll do it here so it's a little easier to see. You're gonna again pretty firmly push down into the foil, and again, just like the other version, you kind of have to go back and forth to see how deep your lines are. You likely will have to go back. I actually went back once I did it one go with the paper. I took it off and then again went over it again. This way those the lines are deeper because it'll be pretty faint the first go. Then to make the edges a little less sharp, you can see the edges here. I just went over them with this kind of a motion, just tiny little lines. And I did that front and back. You might be able to see it on the back a little bit better. So there's just tiny little lines. It just makes the edges of this foil less sharp. You won't have to worry about that, obviously, if you're working with the regular aluminum foil on the cardboard. But in any case, once you have the design transferred, and it's pretty deep, so you'll probably want to go back, like I said, over and make it a little bit deeper. Once that's done, then here I just covered over it with a very thin layer of black tempera paints and wiped off certain areas of it. My plan is to make a bunch of these and then attach them. I've made holes just using a hole puncher, and this is a piece of wire, and I'm going to start attaching them for a hanging piece. The handout that is on Canvas gives you some other options for how to finish off the piece. These heavier pieces of aluminum, you could nail it into a piece of wood. You can also color in your designs with Sharpies if you prefer, so that's another option. And then another option, this is a student's example. She did these pieces of corn, and then she created this watercolor. Actually, no, I think that's chalk pastel. That's chalk pastel. And she extended the metal repoussé, or the embossing. She extended that image with this chalk pastels. You can also cut up your piece of foil and do something similar like this one, where you can see there's kind of an extension of all of these circles that are here. They're kind of imitated and extended here in colored pencil, and this is on black paper. So this is another variation of kind of like what to do with your thing when you're finished with it. Definitely look at the document on Canvas and browse through the Pinterest links that I've provided to give you some other ideas as well. And I think that's it. Thanks for watching.